Bjorn recalls the motto he told Einar on his first day, a mindset that has saved his life multiple times. He realizes Misha didn't come here looking for him, which already tells him a lot. He also notices she actively tried to avoid anyone who knew her from before. Despite the tension, Bjorn convinces himself she isn't here to kill him. Misha steps forward, saying she'll just beat him up again and wipe his memory like last time. Bjorn yells back, demanding to know why she's trying to kill him when he already kept his promise. She pauses, noting that he seems more relaxed compared to their previous encounter. Bjorn grips his weapon tightly, thinking she's right, he really is calmer now. He smirks, acknowledging that the reason he's relaxed is simply because he's gotten stronger. Bjorn reminds her that their oath is still valid and asks if she's fine pretending they never saw each other. She responds by offering him a pill that will erase his memories if he eats it. Bjorn hesitates, thinking it might be the safest option but should only be used as a last resort. He wonders if she has any bad intentions, knowing he'd be defenseless if she attacked while he was unconscious. He asks how he can trust her, prompting her to call him arrogant. In that moment, she prepares for combat, labeling him a barbarian. Amelia activates her combat skills and launches a fast, powerful attack. The impact shakes the area, but Bjorn withstands her strike with surprising resilience. He smirks, revealing he's increased his physical resistance significantly since their last encounter. Bjorn absorbs the impact of her strike, joking that it felt like it nearly cracked his bone. As they face off again, Misha quietly observes him and wonders how he noticed her movements so quickly. Bjorn senses something strange as all the surrounding noises suddenly disappear. Misha repeats her warning, saying she'll keep pretending nothing happened until she's sure he leaves. Bjorn asks how he's supposed to trust her, knowing she could attack him anytime. She questions whether he even has another choice. Later, during D-Day, a priest hands out metal tags to all participants. He tells them the tag proves they belong to the group and must never be lost. The group summarizes the rules bluntly, explaining that losing it means they're finished. Hearing this, Misha concludes that the rumor about a portal in the underground city must be true, while Einar nervously asks Bjorn if they'll survive. Einar nervously asks if they will be safe, but Bjorn reassures her that the army will protect them inside the labyrinth. 5 minutes later, the portal opens with a surge of light. The army enters first, marching in formation through the gateway. After half an hour, the explorers are called to line up and prepare for their turn. Another 30 minutes pass as the next group gets ready to move. Some explorers comment that this setup is actually beneficial, letting them use the X multiplier bus. As the gate activates again, the crowd grows impatient and tense. Bjorn suddenly tells Einar to climb onto his back as he prepares for action. He uses a skill that enlarges his body, causing surprise and panic among the others. A guard shouts that using abilities in the city is illegal, but Bjorn ignores the outcry as the chaotic energy spirals around them. Soldiers panic as Bjorn forcefully pushes through, ignoring their warnings to stop. Einar transforms and slams into the crowd, shocking everyone watching. Misha and the others stare in horror, realizing the situation is getting out of control. Meanwhile, another warrior laughs excitedly, encouraging Bjorn to keep going. Inside the labyrinth, a floating light activates, signaling the start of the challenge. The team notices the floor monument glowing, indicating their entry has been registered. Someone complains that Bjorn's reckless actions are going to make everyone pay a fine. The priest reluctantly agrees, saying they'll have to cover the penalty together. As the group regains focus, they discuss how strange it is that they were dropped directly into the dark zone from the very beginning. Another explorer explains that this sudden shift is due to a dimension instability phenomenon. The group studies the map and learns that portals behave like unstable magic, randomly shifting coordinates. Bjorn wonders if their landing spot was just coincidence, but the others don't seem convinced. A knight tries to take credit, but Misha quickly shuts him up before he embarrasses himself. Einar watches the situation quietly, unsure whether to worry or be impressed. Another explorer explains that this phenomenon only started around 150 years ago. The magic tower later reworked the seal, and dimensional instability stopped for a long time. Now that it's suddenly reappeared, everyone questions why it's happening again. The mage suggests they keep this advantage a secret until other explorers notice it. She volunteers to try opening something first, saying it'll save them time if they act now. Bjorn responds with a simple thanks as he presses his hand against the stone. The mage activates the portal with a surge of magic, leaving everyone stunned by the glowing light. She steps back proudly, enjoying the wondrous sensation flowing through her hands. One knight praises the feeling, amazed that she was the first to open the portal. The team enters, climbs up, and then comes back down, realizing the beast's lair requires a more coordinated approach. 3 hours later, they encounter another group of explorers conducting their own inspection. Someone asks if there's a way to tell whether a dog tag has been stolen, but the answer is simply no. A knight explains he once trained the man who ran off with a stolen final round dog tag. Misha overhears and quietly watches the situation unfold, unsure what to make of it. The mage shrugs off suspicion, joking that it's nice to be mistaken for someone famous. A knight warns her not to smile like that, thinking she's trying too hard to look innocent. Bjorn says they should hurry and tells Einar to carry Raven. Einar is startled, pointing at himself in disbelief. Raven finds it strange and argues that Bjorn isn't carrying anything, so he should be the one doing the lifting. Misha slowly turns toward him with an increasingly irritated expression. When Raven repeats himself, she snaps and angrily demands to know what he just said. Raven argues again that it makes more sense for Bjorn to carry him since Bjorn isn't holding anything. Bjorn sighs and agrees it makes sense, but insists he needs to stay at the front to find the correct path. Instead of carrying Raven, he decides to wear Einar's backpack to lighten her load. With the issue settled, the group begins moving deeper into the cave. They remind each other to stay alert and watch their surroundings. By evening, they reach the 27th floor of the Sky Tower and decide to rest early. The mage checks for threats and confirms she doesn't sense anything nearby. Misha hesitates, then asks Bjorn if they can eat before sleeping. Bjorn agrees, and the team celebrates with a warm meal. Bjorn reaches to cut the food, but someone quickly bites into it and says there's no need. The whole group digs in happily, enjoying the feast Einar prepared. The mage explains that fresh produce doesn't spoil in the pocket realm, so she brought a bit of everything. Lau comments on how excessive it looks, even with chairs and a table, but Einar asks if he's complaining. After finishing, someone asks what they're doing about night watch. Bjorn says it won't be necessary because he didn't sense any threats nearby. The mage also confirms she cast detection spells multiple times, and none of them picked up danger. With that reassurance, they decide there's no point in staying awake. The group settles down and sleeps comfortably beside the warm fire. Everyone jolts as the strange spatial distortion appears again, confirming it's the same phenomenon they expected. Bjorn explains that this is a rupture, an instance-type dungeon that exists separately on each floor. He summarizes its 2 traits. The exp is insanely high, and a guardian monster gives rare rewards. Yandel prepares the portal compass and tells the group to gather their belongings. Einar carries their injured ally, while Bjorn asks where the rupture entrance is located. They follow the compass until it points toward an ornate door ahead. Einar hesitates, saying she hopes it won't involve hallucinations. Yulia says she actually prefers hallucinations, while another teammate claims he'll be fine thanks to mental fortitude. The group gathers in front of the entrance, each showing different levels of curiosity and concern. As they step forward, the narration wonders how they will endure the upcoming trials of patience. Bjorn steps into the rupture, noting that the trial will reveal whether his condition is normal or not. The system confirms he has entered the hallucination type challenge. A familiar childlike voice appears, asking him to play again, but he dismisses it immediately. Nightmarish visions echo painful words he once heard, but he forces himself to ignore them. While walking, he keeps repeating that he'll let the voices pass in one ear and out the other. A new hallucination asks if he can manage alone, but Bjorn reminds himself he's already an adult. The scenes around him keep shifting, showing random moments from his past. He mutters that these things happen in life, refusing to let the illusions control him. One hallucination looks like someone he used to know, but even that doesn't slow him down. As he pushes forward, he tries to remember the exact moment everything truly changed for him. Bjorn moves through the hall calmly, saying the trial feels just as simple as last time. He notes he's grown used to the pain and doesn't consider it a problem anymore. Suddenly, the hallucinations shift, showing unfamiliar figures and scenes that weren't there before. A twisted image accuses him, asking if he's happy to be alive in someone else's place. Bjorn brushes it off, calling the setup a cliché pattern he's seen too many times. Another hallucination appears pretending to be a friend, demanding its body back, but he ignores it too. He comments that none of these illusions will work on him anymore. Moments later, the trial ends, and the system confirms he has completed it. Reuniting with the group, they notice he looks unfazed and decide to head up and rest. As they move forward, someone spots the glowing gateway and announces they've finally found the portal. Bjorn reaches the fourth-floor rupture and realizes it isn't the Golden Ruins. The group explains that only 3 teams can enter at once, and each team gets sent to a different starting point. They mention they got lucky, since they don't know much about the Golden Ruins anyway. Bjorn is asked to take the lead for this part of the expedition. He hesitates, but they tell him it's better to follow the mage's advice in unfamiliar areas. Bjorn accepts the role and agrees to handle the situation for now. The mage then explains what dangers they should look out for inside this rupture. After Raven briefs them, the team takes a short break to prepare. They talk about how they explored another dangerous place last time and how lucky they've been so far. Misha gets teased for immediately falling asleep, and she accuses them of making fun of her. Bjorn tells her to stop imagining things and reminds her to get some rest before they continue. On the 8th day, the group moves forward as the rupture routes finally converge. They remind themselves that every team starts separately but eventually meets in the center. Bjorn leads the way and spots movement ahead. They prepare for a fight as a doppelganger appears. Avanner warns them that this monster mimics their form and abilities. The creature attacks fiercely, forcing Bjorn to activate his wild outburst skill. The team holds formation, keeping their guard up as the monster pushes hard. Bjorn counterattacks with a heavy swing, matching the doppelganger's strength. Raven follows up with multiple high-rank spells, blasting the creature with chains, lightning, and energy loss. The combined assault completely overwhelms the monster. As the fight ends, the group praises Raven for her quick and powerful support. Bjorn finishes off the doppelganger with a final heavy strike, thinking that having strong teammates is part of his luck. As the monster falls, he confidently declares that the fight is over. He suddenly shouts an odd insult, "Your mom," trying to sound intimidating. His teammates stare silently, confused and wondering if he's actually being serious. Bjorn gets hit off guard but quickly recovers, realizing he shouldn't lower his guard in situations like this. He notices he's getting stronger and starts enjoying the intensity of the fight. After exchanging blows, he finally gains the upper hand and pins the opponent down. Misha yells for the finishing blow, expecting him to end it. Instead, Bjorn suddenly calls out her name, catching her off guard. He attempts a desperate bluff by saying he loves her. The others are shocked, thinking he's trying every trick possible. To their surprise, Misha blushes and believes him instantly. Bjorn realizes the trick worked. Misha actually fell for it. Raven freezes when Bjorn suddenly shouts, "I love you," using it as a last-ditch trick to survive. The group watches in confusion, unsure why Bjorn is making such a dramatic confession. Bjorn keeps talking, hoping Raven will hesitate long enough for him to break free. Raven reacts awkwardly, clearly unsure how to handle the sudden emotional outburst. Bjorn realizes the confession is working and prepares to turn the situation around. Iman comments that Bjorn might actually be good at this kind of bluff. The moment becomes tense as everyone waits to see whether Raven believes him. Raven finally gives a conflicted response, causing the others to sweat nervously. Iman steps forward to help, sensing the fight is about to continue. Bjorn snaps back into combat mode and launches an attack with full force. The fight continues as Bjorn takes a heavy hit, barely managing to stay conscious. Before he can finish speaking, an explosive attack forces him back. Iman intervenes, pretending he didn't hear anything to avoid the awkward moment. The clone steps in again, shifting the battlefield and breaking the flow. Misha explodes with rage, shouting that she's going to kill Bjorn for his stunt. Raven blocks the incoming strikes, keeping the situation under control. Bjorn chooses to stay silent, realizing he shouldn't push the moment any further. The others tell both sides to back off as they regroup. Raven fires a powerful flame barrage that sends the enemy flying. Bjorn blocks the remaining attacks, surprising everyone with how tough he is. The others comment on his strength, wondering how he's still only E rank. Iman suddenly comes up with an idea and tells Yandel to act fast. Misha checks the fallen enemy and questions whether it's dead. They choose to keep moving instead of sticking around. Bjorn notes that the doppelganger didn't reappear after that encounter. After 4 hours of walking, the group takes a short moment to breathe. They discuss which route to follow, deciding the left path is safer than overlapping with other teams. Bjorn agrees and leads the group forward. The group moves deeper into the cave while staying alert for other teams at their level. Bjorn senses something is off and signals everyone to stop. A lone hooded man appears ahead, acting strangely quiet. The group questions him, asking for his name to confirm whether he's real or a doppelganger. The man nervously answers Chrisen, claiming he isn't a doppelganger. His behavior still worries Bjorn, but they decide to test him directly. As soon as they approach, the man suddenly screams and transforms into a hostile entity. Bjorn charges forward, shouting as he prepares to strike. The creature unleashes a powerful flame attack, revealing its true monstrous form. The team braces for battle as the cave fills with fiery light. Bjorn charges through the monster's flames and counters with a powerful swing. The explosion sends him sliding back across the ground, but he manages to stay standing. Raven rushes forward in concern, only for Bjorn to yell at her to stay away. The others stop, confused by his sudden reaction. Bjorn struggles to explain, knowing the situation is more complicated than simple poison. Raven asks if he's hurt or affected by something dangerous. Bjorn hesitates, thinking to himself that it's far worse than poison. The group examines him but sees no visible injury or effect. Bjorn tries to reassure them, even though he clearly knows something is wrong. Bjorn suddenly trips on a small rock, surprising everyone as he hits the ground. The group checks on him, confused by how unusual the fall was. Bjorn notices the rock and feels something is wrong, sensing it wasn't a coincidence. Bear urgently warns that there's another danger approaching from behind. The entire group rushes to move, realizing threats are coming from multiple directions. As they try to escape, the suspicious man reappears with a creepy smile. He introduces himself again as Hans Christen, confirming their worst fear. The team examines the fallen manticore's essence, noticing its power feels unusual. They realize it's tied to a passive ability related to stat enhancement. The heredity skill allows users to permanently gain stats by consuming magic crystals. The leader explains that with enough crystals, the total can reach impressive numbers. Everyone steps back as he prepares to test the true value of the essence in the temple. Upon activation, it reveals that 20% of the absorbed stats can be permanently kept. The others are amazed and refuse to give up something so rare and valuable. The dwarf asks if they plan to sell it, but they insist on keeping it for the team. With limited space for more essences, they still agree this one is worth holding on to. The group discusses how to divide the manticore's essence fairly. Someone points out that the opposing team doesn't have a mage to use it properly. The dwarf offers a deal, saying he'll pay well if they agree. The other team decides to join in regardless of the disadvantage. The girl suggests settling it by rolling dice to see who gets the essence. The first roll lands poorly, disappointing the player. Excitement fills the air as the next roll results in a much higher number. The dwarf reminds them about a penalty rule that reduces their total. Everyone reacts in frustration as their hopes are dashed once again. The dwarf surprises everyone with his bold move, leaving the others shouting in disbelief. The warrior can't believe what just happened, questioning if it's even real. Despite the odds, he refuses to back down, knowing too much depends on him. His teammates encourage him, cheering him on to stay confident. Everyone watches closely as the dice are rolled once more. Against all expectations, the roll lands perfectly on 10. The group bursts into excitement, unable to contain their joy. The scene ends with everyone celebrating the warrior's incredible luck and determination. The dice rolls across the ground, landing with a disappointing result. The dwarf bursts into laughter as the outcome clearly favors him. The warrior regrets not letting his teammate handle the throw instead. Frustration fills the air as their bad luck continues. Trying to shift focus, the dwarf brings up the topic of payment for the test tube. He demands a high price, splitting the cost between materials and the mage's effort. The other group hesitates, admitting they don't even have a test tube prepared. Embarrassed, they explain that it's too expensive, leaving the dwarf visibly annoyed. The dwarf demands 15 million for the essence, shocking everyone around him. The warrior protests, thinking the price is way too high. The dwarf stands firm, refusing to negotiate and insisting they can walk away if they don't want it. Seeing their hesitation, he suddenly drops the price to 15 million stones as a quick offer. The team panics, admitting they don't have that much money to pay. When they try to bargain further, the dwarf raises the price again to 20 million, ending all hope. In the end, the group realizes they've lost the deal to his cunning business tactics. Later, they continue hunting, defeating 2 powerful monsters to gain more experience. Though they didn't obtain any new essence, they move forward, searching for a safe place to rest. The group enters the Shadow Altar, where one of their members is suddenly possessed. They realize someone among them has been replaced by a doppelganger. The only way to break the curse is to identify the imposter and place them on the central altar. Suspicion quickly spreads as the dwarf accuses another of acting strangely. The leader suggests using a verification spell to confirm who's real. The team agrees, hoping to narrow down the number of suspects. One by one, members undergo the spell, revealing signs of truth. Even the elf confidently proves his identity, showing no signs of deceit. In the end, everyone passes the test, confirming that none of them are doppelgangers, at least for now. The group learns that the doppelganger is hiding among the remaining 9 members. Everyone grows tense, knowing that one mistake could doom them all. A girl suggests that they can identify the imposter through careful questioning. The warrior steps forward, determined to start the verification himself. He targets the dwarf and Hans first, believing they might be hiding something. His sharp questioning quickly raises suspicion and tension in the group. The dwarf defends himself angrily, accusing the warrior of acting without proof. Their argument escalates, with both sides shouting and trading accusations. Meanwhile, one member secretly admits to acting suspicious on purpose to confuse the others. As doubts grow and tempers flare, no one can tell who the real doppelganger is anymore. A mysterious light shines as the stone of truth is created. The group realizes it can force anyone to speak only the truth. The warrior demands the dwarf to use it and prove his innocence. Holding the glowing stone, the dwarf confidently declares he isn't the doppelganger. The spell confirms his words, showing that he told the truth. Confusion spreads as everyone tries to figure out who the real imposter is. Suddenly, tension rises again when one member makes a bold accusation. The warrior loses patience and activates his battle stance in anger. He points directly at his rival, shouting that the one who kept stirring trouble must be the doppelganger. The tension rises as one member is accused and ordered to step onto the altar. The archer panics, denying the accusation and trying to defend himself. The warrior stays firm, claiming they can't afford to keep weak links around. Internally, he admits the archer has been his target from the very start. The situation nearly escalates into a fight until the priest intervenes. He urges everyone to calm down and think rationally before acting. The priest then reveals he has a special item that can expose lies. It's a rare artifact capable of forcing everyone nearby to speak only the truth. The group agrees to test it, starting with a few simple questions. As the circle activates, the dwarf glares intensely, ready to catch whoever slips up. Chaos erupts as one of the mages suddenly attacks a teammate without warning. The group quickly realizes something is wrong and prepares for battle. Panic spreads as another member screams out the mage's name in shock. The dwarf rushes forward, trying to pull everyone together amid the confusion. The warrior demands answers, questioning what's really happening. In desperation, the dwarf shouts that Hans Christen is actually an evil spirit. Everyone freezes, unsure whether to believe such a claim. The mage insists he has proof hidden in his bag to back it up. As he raises the glowing artifact, the truth stone continues to shine, confirming the spell is still active. A sudden explosion erupts, catching everyone off guard. Flames engulf the area as one of the members screams in agony. The attacker apologizes in panic, realizing the situation has spiraled out of control. The group tries to retreat, unsure who's friend or foe anymore. A terrified girl pleads, claiming they're from the same place and should stick together. The warrior and dwarf exchange tense looks, both on edge after the chaos. Another member collapses, unable to withstand the shock of betrayal. The survivors confront the traitor, furious yet exhausted from the constant fighting. As the dust settles, the narrator admits they never expected both of them to turn out as players. The situation reaches a point where words no longer matter, and battle becomes inevitable. The warrior charges forward, his shield glowing with divine energy. The elf calmly prepares his counterattack, determined to take away the warrior's light. Their weapons clash, sending sparks and shockwaves through the battlefield. Both sides exchange powerful blows, testing each other's strength and resolve. The elf manages to land a hit, but the warrior refuses to back down. A teammate intervenes, frustrated by the reckless fighting between allies. The elf smirks, mocking the warrior's pride as a martial artist. Furious, the warrior channels his power and unleashes a devastating combo attack. The battlefield erupts in explosions as he roars his intent to destroy the so-called evil spirit once and for all. The intense battle continues as energy blasts and dark magic fill the field. One of the warriors barely dodges an incoming attack, his body glowing from exhaustion. The elf jumps in just in time to block another deadly strike aimed at their ally. Chaos erupts as the group struggles to fight back against the overwhelming power. A massive beast joins the fight, forcing everyone to focus their strength together. The fighter stands his ground, channeling energy through his sword. Explosions shake the area as flames and lightning collide across the battlefield. Amid the chaos, a sinister voice mocks them, questioning their strength. The dwarf smirks, refusing to show fear even as the dark power closes in. He declares that he won't die easily because he's the core of the team. The battle shifts to a mysterious realm where only followers of Korra can use its dark power. The spell forces two enemies into an isolated space where only one can return. The warrior grips his sword tightly, ready to face the dwarf head-on. He mocks his opponent, questioning where he found the courage to challenge him alone. The dwarf laughs, claiming the others will win as long as he stalls for time. Their clash begins, the sound of steel echoing through the empty dimension. The warrior lands a heavy blow, his attack slicing through the air with brutal force. Even after taking damage, the dwarf refuses to fall, relying on his unshakable endurance. The warrior continues striking relentlessly, as if playing a deadly game of whack-a-mole. Despite the pain, the dwarf smirks, proving his resilience is just as strong as his pride. After a series of powerful blows, the dwarf finally falls to his knees, heavily injured. The warrior retrieves a key item from his opponent's grasp, recognizing its immense value. It's revealed to be a rare Guard Knight's symbol that absorbs shock and boosts defense. With the battle won, he takes a moment to recover his strength. Holding a glowing vial, he prepares to use it for his next move. Explosions erupt across the battlefield as chaos spreads among the remaining fighters. The warrior activates his teleportation device to reposition closer to the fight. As his body glows, the manticore's essence fuses with his soul, enhancing his power. Rejoining the team, he charges forward with renewed strength as they push to finish the enemy once and for all. The mage shouts for everyone to hold their positions until Yandel is ready. Suddenly, the barbarian leaps high into the air, leaving everyone stunned. His massive frame soars upward, glowing with immense power. The others watch in awe as he prepares his ultimate attack. With a thunderous crash, he slams down using his Barbarian meteor, shaking the ground. The explosion forces the enemies back, leaving them completely overwhelmed. Even the dwarf can't believe the sheer impact of the strike. As the dust settles, the warrior stands tall, his body radiating energy from the battle. Realizing they can't win, the enemies surrender, pleading for mercy. Victorious and bloodied, the barbarian calmly accepts their defeat as the team finally secures the win. The scene opens with the group interrogating a captured enemy who's been restrained. The warrior notices a strange gag and questions its purpose. The mage awkwardly explains it's for capturing monsters, causing an amusing misunderstanding. The conversation takes an awkward turn as the warrior misinterprets her intentions. Flustered, the mage quickly clarifies her goal is purely for research purposes. The warrior steps back, embarrassed by his own assumptions. Meanwhile, the injured members are being treated by the camp priestess nearby. The fighter checks on the mage's condition, only to find it's already too late. With sorrow and exhaustion hanging over the group, they silently reflect on the heavy cost of their survival. The group gathers to discuss how the dwarf managed to uncover the truth about their enemies. One member nervously reveals that the dwarf himself turned out to be an evil spirit. Shock spreads as they realize the deception went deeper than they imagined. The warrior uses voice chat magic to coordinate with his teammates and plan their next move. Tensions rise when some suggest executing the remaining enemies immediately. Others hesitate, questioning whether they can handle the next challenge alone. The mage proposes cooperation, but doubts remain about trusting former foes. The fighter reminds them that betrayal is more dangerous than any monster. The group ultimately decides to move on, planning to leave their captives behind. Yet deep down, they all know those two evil spirits are far from ordinary enemies. The group argues intensely about what to do with the captured evil spirits. Some demand execution, believing it's the only way to prevent future danger. Others hesitate, unsure if they can truly justify killing them without proof. The discussion grows tense as fear and distrust begin spreading among the team. The warrior silently listens, his expression darkening as the others debate. Inside, he reflects on how easily trust can be shattered by suspicion. He realizes that if the group ever discovered his own secret, he'd face the same fate. As the tension peaks, he steps forward, gripping his weapon tightly. The two prisoners tremble as he raises his arm, his decision seemingly final. Yet deep inside, the warrior feels completely at home in this brutal, unforgiving world. The group examines a used gag, realizing it was crucial in subduing the enemies. The mage scolds the warrior for hitting their captives too hard, worried he might have killed them. She then recalls the detection spell that failed to work on a few of their members. Tension rises when it's revealed she's now the only possible doppelganger candidate left. Panic sets in as she desperately tries to explain that it's all a misunderstanding. The warrior stays calm, reminding her that the stone of truth can reveal everything. As the spell activates, she pleads her innocence, insisting she's not the imposter. But suspicion lingers, especially when the others note that doppelgangers can fake death. The warrior surveys the battlefield, realizing that someone among the fallen might still be alive. Everyone braces themselves, knowing the real threat might not be gone after all. The warrior inspects the fallen body, sensing something off. He realizes the corpse's reaction doesn't match that of a real dead body. Acting quickly, he splashes a special red liquid on it to reveal the truth. The supposed corpse suddenly screams, its disguise melting away. It's exposed as the doppelganger that had been hiding among them all along. The warrior crushes it with a powerful strike, undoing the possession seal. The others watch as light bursts out, confirming the enemy's defeat. Relief spreads the deception is finally over, and order is restored. The priest heals the wounded while praising the warrior's quick thinking. As calm returns, everyone knows they've barely survived another deadly test. The mage jokingly teases her companion about how he pronounces her name. He awkwardly admits it's difficult for him to say it correctly, making her sigh in defeat. She insists he use her proper name, but he keeps calling her the nickname out of habit. Eventually, she blushes and tells him to call her whatever he wants. The tension between them softens into a light-hearted moment of mutual respect. Their group then regathers, preparing to continue their mission through the dangerous rupture. They discuss strategies, reviewing what's left of their team after the recent chaos. The warrior reminds everyone to focus on survival rather than past mistakes. Despite his stoic attitude, his calm leadership keeps morale from falling apart. Even under pressure, he remains composed, cooperative, focused, and determined to move forward. The group rests after their intense battle, ensuring everyone is safe. The warrior observes the unconscious mage, noting his skill in support magic despite his calm demeanor. When the mage awakens, he expresses gratitude for being saved. They exchange introductions, learning he hails from the underground city of Nork. Curious, the warrior watches as the mage prepares a special evaluation spell. The group discusses their next move while assessing their newly acquired loot. They carefully divide the treasures, ensuring fair distribution based on usefulness. The mage provides insight into some rare items, surprising everyone with his knowledge. The warrior approves their plan and confirms they'll proceed as agreed. With teamwork restored, the group regains its balance, ready for whatever awaits next. The group safely stores the remaining treasures inside the pocket realm. The warrior checks his gear, realizing how much loot they've collected. With upgraded equipment and newfound strength, his total power rises dramatically. The team ventures deeper into the dark forest, their path filled with danger. The warrior suddenly halts and orders everyone to prepare for battle. A massive horde of doppelgangers emerges from the shadows, more aggressive than before. Their numbers multiply endlessly, no longer mimicking the group's appearance. The warrior grits his teeth, realizing this marks the start of the 4th chapter's true challenge. Without hesitation, he charges forward, muscles tightening as power surges through him. He activates his skill, growing larger and more fearsome with each movement. The ground shakes as he lands, unleashing devastating blows against the horde. With a wild roar, he triggers Wild Outburst, turning the tide of battle in an explosive display of strength. An hour later, the battlefield still echoed with the sounds of clashing steel. The warrior's strikes grew heavier as the last wave of enemies fell. Finally, he took a deep breath, planting his foot firmly on the ground. The mage asked if the fight was over, scanning the surroundings cautiously. Exhausted but focused, the warrior simply nodded, relieved yet alert. Their ally, the old mage, began casting a powerful enhancement spell. Lightning surged through the air as magic circles flared to life. The female mage unleashed a devastating thunderbolt, obliterating the remaining foes. As silence returned, she smirked. Nothing felt more satisfying than the thrill of power coursing through her veins. The warrior notes that the seal has already weakened by 20%. With urgency in their steps, the group rushes through the forest as if chased by time itself. They suddenly spot a massive hole in the ground, just like the ancient records described. Before anyone can rush in, the mage warns them to stay alert and check the surroundings first. The team prepares for their next move, tension building with every second. According to their plan, they must split into 2 groups to face the coming threat. One team will confront the boss head-on, while the other locates the sealing stone hidden deep within enemy territory. The mage finds the glowing crystal and begins the sealing ritual amidst chaos. As the spell activates, the crystal's light dims, the seal weakens even further, dropping to 10%. The group realizes they don't have enough people to split up for the mission. They decide to focus entirely on protecting the sealing stones before the doppelganger breaks free. Everyone steels themselves, knowing the enemies they'll face are as strong as high-rank warriors. The warrior asks if everyone's ready, his voice echoing through the cavern. Suddenly, a trembling voice from below pleads, claiming to be one of them. The figure screams in madness, revealing its true nature as a doppelganger. The warrior's eyes narrow as he raises his weapon, shouting for the first phase to begin. He charges forward, his blade glowing with power as protective magic activates around him. With a fierce swing, he strikes down the creature. The battle against the true doppelganger has begun. The warrior clashes fiercely with the monstrous foe, its power rivaling that of a 14th rank beast. Despite his strength, the creature's relentless attacks push him to his limits. He grits his teeth, realizing this opponent truly deserves its fearsome rank. As he calls for aid, a dark wave of curse magic streaks across the battlefield. The support spell lands perfectly, giving him a brief moment of relief. Taking advantage of it, the warrior launches a counterattack, fulfilling the first phase of their plan. His summoned clone begins to mimic his movements, preparing for a synchronized strike. Meanwhile, the mage channels a burst of flame magic, igniting the air with a fiery explosion. The enemies shriek as fire engulfs them, and the warrior advances, ready to end the fight. The warrior shouts for his team to eliminate the clones before they multiply again. But to his shock, every single enemy suddenly vanishes from sight. Realizing the danger, the mage commands everyone to attack before another wave appears. The warrior roars and charges, striking with everything he has. Each time he takes one down, it immediately splits into multiple copies, spreading like a curse. Raven unleashes flames, burning as many of the clones as possible before they can reform. The battlefield turns into chaos as green slime-like clones scatter across the ground. Amidst the heat and fury, the warrior clenches his weapon, swearing not to let the cycle repeat again. The first phase of the battle ends without any major issues. But soon, the ground trembles again. The third vibration marks the seal's partial collapse. The warrior quickly orders everyone to assume formation, preparing for the next wave. The mage steadies her aim, determined to minimize the damage as much as possible. Suddenly, green mist rises, and an eerie voice questions why its lies aren't seen as truth. Out of the haze, two identical ravens appear, same face, same voice, same aura. Confusion spreads through the team as both claim to be real, each pointing at the other. One of them yells for everyone to shoot the fake, while the other desperately pleads to stop. With no time to spare, the warrior hesitates. Using the Stone of Truth might expose the real one, but could also hasten the seal's release. The team struggles to figure out which one is the real mage as chaos unfolds. An arrow suddenly pierces through, striking one of the identical figures. Shock spreads as it's revealed the wounded one wasn't the real Enro. The warrior realizes the doppelganger can't mimic her broken staff, using that as a clue. Just as they regroup, the final and most dangerous phase begins. The enemy shifts into a berserk state, its laughter echoing through the Crimson Seal. Despite the clones being weaker, their endless waves threaten to undo the seal completely. With calm determination, the warrior vows to hold the line, refusing to let the seal break. The warrior activates his special ability, Outlaw of the Barren Lands. His body surges with power as his close-range damage multiplies with every human-type enemy nearby. With a fiery glare, he declares his resolve, proving that even items can become deadly skills in the right hands. A few hours earlier, the group discusses their plan against the outlaw doppelganger. The man warns that letting it create clones will only increase the danger. Yandel suggests holding out for a moment, but the girl immediately refuses, calling it too risky. She explains that the clones will attack aggressively if the original feels threatened. The knight reminds Yandel that they can't help if he dies, and everything will end for them. The seal release reaches 90%, causing the surroundings to shake. Yandel charges forward through the chaos, pushing himself into the heart of the fight. The ground erupts beneath him as he triggers a powerful skill. His body grows larger as he activates a combination of fear and giantification. He unleashes wild outbursts and swings with overwhelming strength. The enemy thief suffers massive damage under the impact of his ultimate barbarian strike. Bjorn slams his weapon into the ground, sending a violent shockwave across the battlefield. The green crystal-like object bounces from the impact and begins shaking. Bjorn strikes it again with heavy force, smashing it deeper into the ground. The explosion of debris blasts the nearby enemies backward as he keeps attacking. Bjorn's expression tightens with focus while he overwhelms the clones. A massive shockwave erupts, launching several enemies into the air. His allies watch from behind as Bjorn's frontline assault throws the entire area into chaos. A powerful mana barrier rises as the mages pour energy into protecting the group. Bjorn clashes with multiple clones, lightning-like force bursting from every strike. The impact sends enemies flying as the barrier struggles to stay intact. His allies shout that the shield won't hold for long, but Bjorn says he already knows. Surrounded by countless clones, he continues fighting while burning through heavy mana. The mages realize their mana will run out in under a minute at this rate. Misha worries about Bjorn taking all the pressure alone, but someone reassures her of his strength. Meanwhile, another clone forms nearby, preparing to attack again. Bjorn keeps fighting as the barrier weakens and the clones press in. The mages panic, realizing their mana is dropping faster than expected. Misha sees Bjorn getting overwhelmed and screams his name in fear. She tries to run toward him, but Bjorn shouts for her to stay back. Blood drips from his face as he forces himself to stay standing. He says the fight is almost over, tightening his grip on his weapon. Bjorn leaps high into the air with a powerful skill activation. Sweat runs down his face as he smiles, relieved that he finally reached this moment. Bjorn unleashes Wild Outburst, sending a fierce shockwave through the battlefield. He raises his weapon high as lightning gathers around his body. The impact tears through the monster's core, cracking it open. A violent burst of energy erupts, scattering debris everywhere. Bjorn's final swing lands with overwhelming force, crushing the boss completely. A flash of light signals the end of the raid. The group rushes in, relieved to see Bjorn standing safely. Meanwhile, Sarman collapses face down, unable to move. The others notice his abnormal status and feel bad for him. They decide to finish the task on his behalf since he can't continue. The mage and the guide leave the rupture first after stabilizing the exit. They hand the group a glowing gift, though Bjorn admits he doesn't like receiving it. After leaving, the group prepares to check the item once they're safely outside. Bjorn receives a visit permit for the Harmon school and reads through its details. They rest for a day and gather everything they wanted from the rupture. Bjorn examines a rare sealed fragment and decides he'll buy 5 out of the 7 pieces. Misha reacts to the strange mandrake plants they pulled out, screaming loudly. Bjorn checks another expensive item and tells the others not to overthink it. The group sits together, discussing the drop chances for rupture stones and rare items. The group learns there's now a bounty on their heads for using skills inside the city. Bjorn is shocked, realizing he completely forgot about that rule. They continue exploring and reach the 5th floor on the 20th day. The clans are gone from the area, making hunting much easier for them. After leaving the burning zone, they return to a checkpoint village. Inside, a red-haired man introduces himself as Elmeras of Moslin. Bjorn steps forward and introduces himself as Jandel's son. Elmeras shows no hostility and calmly asks why they're in the area. Misha worries about what will happen to them, but Elmeras reassures her they won't be harmed. Bjorn is told he must live 20 days in Bifron as punishment. The others react casually, relieved that only Bjorn has to stay. A detailed map explains the fortress of Rafadina, divided into 14 regions. District 1 is the capital, where the royal family and upper court reside. Districts 2 to 5 form the commercial area known as the Free Market. District 6, Normeter, is an agricultural zone often visited by nobles. District 7 is Lavagen, home to most of the population with a monthly portal event. District 14, Bifron, used to be part of Lavagen, but is now cut off. Bjorn is told he can do anything during those 20 days as long as he doesn't escape. Bjorn enters District 14, realizing he must spend 20 days in a place known for having no rules. He remembers how his past self would have been scared of the people here. But now, as a tall and muscular barbarian, he no longer feels intimidated. When a group of thugs confronts him, he immediately activates Wild Outburst. The thugs panic and run as Bjorn easily sends them flying with one strike. Bjorn smirks afterward, feeling like the fight was almost too easy. Bjorn reassures the thugs he won't kill anyone, which only scares them more. Their panicked reaction is exactly what Bjorn expected. He avoids the troublemakers and decides he won't deal with annoying people. Bjorn warns Misha to stay careful in the lawless district. He realizes that in a place ruled by strength, living comfortably won't be hard for him. Bjorn thinks of his time here as a temporary stay rather than punishment. 2 days later, the group meets up in the city as planned. They sit together for a meal, discussing how much they earned from the recent ruins. The girls are shocked when they hear the total amount they managed to collect. The group explains that their huge earnings came from all the equipment collected from 7 explorers. They mention the Foxfire Knot, a numbered item that still hasn't been sold. Bjorn expected a big profit, but the actual amount still surprises him. He sits quietly, wondering why he feels slightly disappointed by the outcome. The narration shows how the team usually divides profits based on percentages. Bjorn questions why a manticore essence counts as special loot worth 40%. He suggests they instead split the 20 million stones evenly since they earned it together. Bjorn offers to pay separately for the test tube he received. In her thoughts, Misha imagines how their negotiation would have gone and how she would have proposed another idea. Misha gets lost in thought, and Errol immediately asks what's on her mind. She snaps back and insists it's nothing, trying to hide her reaction. The group discusses plans, and Misha realizes she'll need to borrow money again. Errol and the blonde girl casually talk, while Misha panics internally. Misha wonders why no one else seems worried about the situation. The others laugh it off, saying there's no reason to be concerned. She feels like the only strange one at the table, unsure how to handle the mood. Misha reflects on the awakening magic she witnessed and tries to understand its purpose. She ends the conversation, saying they're done for the day. Errol describes Bifron as an unpleasant place where even strong people become miserable. The man explains how hunger and poverty can change a person completely. He recalls losing all his equipment during his 3rd year as an explorer. 3. He once survived for a whole year eating nothing but hard, dried bread. He admits he nearly died because he couldn't pay the taxes. Misha wonders why Errol is so worried when Bjorn is probably doing fine. Errol blushes, and the others tease her, noticing how different she acts. They imagine Bjorn surrounded by troublemakers, causing chaos in Bifron. Meanwhile, Bjorn shouts loudly, overpowering the noise of the crowd. It has been 3 days since he arrived, and he's already dominating the area. Bjorn says that handling the thugs wasn't difficult at all. The thugs tried to trick Bjorn by using a kid to lure him in. Bjorn immediately caused chaos among them, and their plan backfired. They scream in fear as Bjorn overwhelms them with brute force. Bjorn ends the beating and tells them that's enough for today. He warns them not to harm others while living under his watch. One of the thugs nervously introduces himself as Jinkasar Pelican. Bjorn tells him to call him boss, and the man quickly agrees. Bjorn then takes an old man out for a walk around the area. They approach a dangerous zone, and the old man hesitantly warns him. The thugs panic when Bjorn steps forward, realizing nothing good will come from challenging him. Bjorn asks Squidward why the soldiers are watching them instead of guarding the outside. Squidward guesses they might be worried someone will try to escape. Bjorn thinks the same at first, but something feels off. He learns that Bifron is a region where the protection magic seal has broken. People expelled here are exposed to a deadly witch's poison. Anyone who breathes it in becomes doomed to die within a day outside the walls. Bjorn was given antidotes since he's only staying for a short time. He concludes that everyone in Bifron is either exiled or descended from exiles. Bjorn remarks that if he were the king, he'd prefer people like this to just leave and die. Bjorn feels an instinctive warning, the same sense that helped him find hidden pieces before. The thugs panic when they spot Eastern Federation soldiers heading their way. Bjorn watches them approach and asks Squidward what he plans to do. Squidward immediately assumes Bjorn wants him to fight too and panics. Bjorn suddenly recognizes the red-haired woman among the soldiers. It's their 4th encounter, and he wonders if it's fate. The woman, Amelia Rian-Wiles, prepares her magic as she steps forward. Bjorn realizes he tried to avoid her before, but now they know each other's names. As she moves ahead, Bjorn warns Squidward to keep up, or he'll die. A sudden blast erupts as Amelia attacks, catching everyone by surprise. The woman is shocked and demands to know who Bjorn is. Bjorn fires back, asking what she's doing in this place. She freezes in confusion, unable to process the situation. Misha and the blonde girl sense something strange and react nervously. Misha gets a bad feeling, unsure why things suddenly feel wrong. Squidward nervously asks Bjorn if he knows the red-haired woman. She ignores him and asks Bjorn why he's being so cautious. Bjorn demands to know what work she needs help with. She explains she was supposed to kill him in exchange for assistance. Bjorn accuses her of trying to ambush him while pretending to help. She gets offended, insisting she would never do something so cowardly. Bjorn remembers their past encounter, though she believes his memory is flawed. She suggests moving elsewhere to continue the conversation. Bjorn tells Squidward to go relax and stay out of trouble. Bjorn leaps away with incredible speed, following her to the new location. An old man panics when he realizes Bjorn has arrived in their territory. The thugs gather around, shouting threats and trying to intimidate him. Bjorn and Amelia stand calmly on the bridge while the group watches nervously from afar. Amelia questions why Bjorn let his subordinate handle the fight alone. Bjorn fires back, asking her to explain herself first. Amelia admits she used an ability inside the city and got caught. Bjorn explains he beat up the toughest thug and naturally became the leader of the area. He then asks Amelia why she came to Bifron. She says she's looking for a certain explorer and wanted to deal with things quietly. Bjorn concludes that her intentions are probably good, even if her approach is awkward. Bjorn tells her he wasn't trying to break their promise. She admits she didn't expect to meet him here either. She asks him to promise he won't come see her again. Bjorn is confused at first, but he agrees to the request. She explains she only needs people to help with her work. Bjorn refuses to hand over his subordinate and offers his own men instead. He declares that the eastern part of Bifron is now his territory. She walks away while Bjorn tells her not to worry about small details. 5 hours later, the scene shifts to the Bifron dimensional square. Bjorn stands on the balcony while the crowd below shouts and stirs in confusion. The residents of Bifron still look rough and undisciplined. Bjorn asks one thug for his name. He renames the man Cyclops, despite the man's hesitation. Bjorn tells him to address him as boss, and Cyclops agrees nervously. Bjorn then says he has an order for everyone. The crowd listens closely, unsure what he'll demand next. He instructs them to check the back of every man in Bifron. A confident man steps forward, showing he already understands Bjorn's command. The men panic when Bjorn tells them to show their backs. He orders his men to bring him everyone with tattoos. The thugs misunderstand his intentions and start blushing nervously. Bjorn tells them not to misunderstand and to hurry up. He explains he wants to know who the woman is looking for. The name Oriel Gabus appears as the creator of the Complete Analysis series and the Dungeon game. Bjorn learns there is a chance this person is still alive after 150 years. He thinks finding him might be a way to return to his original world. Oriel avoids some questions, but Bjorn believes she didn't lie. Bjorn decides that if Oriel is really in Bifron, he must find him to get the answers he needs. On the 6th day, Bjorn eats while the girl quietly reads beside him. By the 7th day, she continues reading while the others rest. Bjorn slowly gives up hope of finding the person he's looking for, but still observes everyone. He asks her if she wants to leave Bifron and come back afterward. She mentions there's a secret underground passage. Bjorn asks her to show it, and she hesitates for a moment. She finally agrees to guide him. Later at night, he talks with her more and learns she avoids bread because wheat makes her skin itchy. Bjorn realizes her hobby is reading. Bjorn asks her about the barbarian she said she owed a debt to. She avoids the question, telling him not to worry about it. When she praises the warrior, Bjorn downplays it, saying he was just similar to her. Bjorn then asks why she steals from people. She insists he doesn't understand her and calls his thinking ridiculous. Bjorn explains he knows she doesn't kill people for money. She stays silent, admitting she doesn't usually do it. When asked why she does it at all, she answers that some people deserve it. Bjorn notes they won't see each other after a few days, wondering why she's revealing personal things to him. She asks Bjorn if he'll be there tomorrow, and he's surprised when she smiles and says, maybe. Bjorn watches her leave, noting it's the first time he's seen her smile. Later that night, he lies in bed as the clock approaches midnight. He realizes it's time for the community forum again. His soul is suddenly pulled into another realm. The protagonist arrives to meet Biko, but finds a different man waiting for him. The man introduces himself as the Korean contact who shared rupture breakdown rumors. The protagonist realizes this person is someone he has seen before. He wants to ask many questions, but senses something is off and stays quiet. The man apologizes, saying he feels like he took away the protagonist's hometown friend. The protagonist clarifies that isn't what he meant. The man explains that Biko won't appear again, no matter how many times he visits. He adds that he thought Biko might be the key to something important. Finally, he reveals that Biko made a serious mistake. The man tells him not to wait for Biko and encourages him to enjoy his time there. As he walks away, the protagonist realizes the man held an unusual amount of authority. He remembers their earlier conversation about who controls the place. He recalls the 3 names the man mentioned, all famous and well-known mages. The thought hits him that his assumption might be right. Checking his messages, he sees more than 50 alerts from the same sender. He panics, thinking the man might discover his true identity. He deletes the conversation and decides to only read posts from now on. Entering the room early, he hopes everyone is present this time as the meeting begins. Lion arrives early, surprising the members as they gather for the meeting. The fox girl mentions that Goblin hasn't shown up yet. She's impressed Lion survived, thinking he was as good as dead. Another member comments that many people died in the recent battle. Clown speaks casually about the losses, showing he doesn't care. Goblin suddenly enters, acting dramatic as he greets everyone. Clown accuses him of hiding away, which Goblin denies instantly. Goblin asks why Clown is always mean to him. Clown mocks him again, making Goblin explode in frustration. The others think Goblin is scared because Clown is extremely strong. The meeting begins with the masked leader asking Lion if the information about the stone is still valid. Lion replies confidently, saying the details haven't changed. The group sits in silence as they wait for someone to start the discussion. Clown looks around, sensing something unusual in the room. A strange reaction spreads through the members as they notice something off. Suddenly, the doors which were already shut open on their own. A new figure steps inside, catching everyone's attention. Lion looks at him calmly, saying nothing has changed after all. The fox girl is startled, claiming she doesn't recognize this person. Lion quietly states that the one who entered is the person who created the room. The fox masked girl is shocked, thinking Lion was the one who invited the newcomer. The man calmly says he was the one who invited him. The group grows confused, asking how the newcomer entered if he wasn't invited. Clown angrily reminds them that invitation codes only work for 1 month. Someone suggests he might have used an extremely old code. The fox masked girl presses Lion, asking why he pretended to know the newcomer. Lion replies that he never claimed that he only avoided answering. He decides to double down, saying that's simply the way Lion behaves. The man reacts in surprise, unsure how to respond. The man stops the conversation and says he knows who the newcomer really is. The others react in confusion as he insists there's no point pretending. He reveals the newcomer is the only one who received a permanent invitation code. Lion realizes this matches something he once heard and connects the clue. The man admits he invited him, but says there's nothing special to gain here. The clown masked member accuses him of underestimating all of them. Another masked member apologizes but admits he's impressed by the newcomer's skill. The fox girl and the deer masked man are surprised, realizing how capable the newcomer is. Lion quietly observes their reactions as they take the newcomer more seriously. He concludes that their misunderstanding actually works in his favor. He thinks that if he gets caught, he can simply claim to be friends with Lee Biko. But he also worries that the master might ban him permanently if he dislikes the switch. He decides to go through with it anyway and pretend to be Lee Biko. The master seems unaware that Lee Biko can only stay for 1 hour. When the master approaches, Lion asks what he should call him here. The old man tells him to just use old man like usual, dropping the formal tone. Lion obeys and casually addresses him, surprising the others. They didn't expect Lion and the old man to speak in such a familiar way. The master says this suits Lion better and ends the topic. He tells them it's nice to see everyone again, but he can't stay long. The others are confused and ask what he means. He says he might return in a year unless something important comes up sooner. They wait for him to explain why he gathered them. He warns them not to be too shocked before sharing the news. He announces that a new spell will be created in 2 years, allowing parties of 6 people. The group listens as he proudly raises his hands. He reveals that there will be 6 keys capable of opening the Gate of Abyss. The members sit around the table, watching each other quietly. They all look tense as they turn their gaze toward him. He notices their expressions and asks why they're staring at him like that. The old man starts the meeting, and someone mutters that they already know the truth.